Welcome back to another episode of Super Serial, and I guess a specific episode of Ghosts from Gamestop Past. Today we're joined with a friend of ours, friend of Super Serials, Kevin.
What's up, nerds?
And he worked with me at GameStop between 2006 and 7.
I started in like the spring, summer of 2006. And I quit, I believe it was probably like November of 2009. Yeah.
I know it was 2009 because that's when I went back to work for GameStop and you had already left. And I was like, oh. I do want to start off by saying that, because it's my favorite thing to always tell because we've been friends for so long, that when Kevin was first interviewed for the position, when he first came in, me and buddy Andrew were real close, and Kevin walks in and he's like, "Hey guys, what's up?" And me and Andrew both were like, "Don't hire him." Well, Herman hired you?
Yeah, Herman was the guy that hired me.
Yeah, and so we were like, "Herman, don't hire that guy. Please don't hire that guy." And I feel so bad. I was wrong.
Yeah,
I was wrong, Kevin.
You sure were. It's big of you to admit that.
But
for
GameStop, I guess I might have been right.
You told me before you felt like I wasn't going to be able to get, subs and reserves, which at the time, that was the most important thing you had to do at GameStop. And you were right about that.
Well, that was my whole purpose. I didn't think, well, maybe I'll be friends with this guy for 20 years or going on 20, and we'll play a lot of fighting games together. But, yeah, that was my concern. My concern was me standing there and you standing there and selling to a customer and trying to convince them to do something. It just didn't seem like you were going to help me.
Yeah. So this was kind of the first job I had that
Outside
made me
food service.
Yeah, they kind of. I was gonna say it kind of made me interact, face to face regularly with the customer.
Yeah.
And then having kind of worked in customer service now, because my current job basically that's what that is, for I guess from 2006 to now, it's 16 years, I guess.
Yeah. It helped? Prepared you?
I wouldn't say that it prepared me, but it's kind of given me a different perspective on, I guess, the world and people and I guess society in general, if you want to put it like that.
You're jaded.
Yeah. It brings to mind, every August or whatever, people would come in with their fucking Delmar credit cards. They just got, their student loans and they're really ready to buy some shit on Xbox.
They got to pick up the new copy of the book. Oh, I meant a copy of Madden.
Exactly. I just remember looking at those guys and just like, I mean, obviously you're not going to talk shit to them, but it's like, what the fuck are you doing, man?
Yeah. It's funny because when GameStop started, I think I talked about it with Carl in a previous episode, but when they started doing the credit cards, I remember making a joke, and I was in Greenwood talking probably to Gil, and I was talking to Gil about GameStop was starting their own credit card, and I cracked a joke, and I was like, GameStop, they're gonna take advantage of these dumb kids getting credit cards. And this guy was super offended, and he was just standing there, and he was like, "Well, they're adults; they can make their own decisions." And I was like, "Oh, my bad, dude. Did you get one? Did you just sign up?"
That was for sure. Like after I left, they didn't have the GameStop credit cards when I was there. Another thing I kind of want to bring up about my time at the G Unit, which is what we call Greenwood, because of our clientele. I'm kind of from a middle-class family, and we lived on the south side, in the area basically of like Saratoga and Weber. And
you're kind of you basically lived in, I don't want to say a more affluential.
I mean, it wasn't affluent because, like I said, we were. Basically middle class. My mom's a teacher, my dad's a cop, so I mean, they weren't making bank, but we weren't poor.
Yeah, and that's exactly the same here. But we grew up on the poor side of town.
And so, working at Greenwood, the people who live in, government housing are coming to that particular GameStop.
That particular GameStop was the mecca for, like, the poor side of town.
Yeah.
Not judging, because, like I said,
not judging,
that's my home store. You know what I mean? Like, so that's my store. I shopped there. I got a job there. But it's our store. It's the poor side of town.
But
it was evident in the clientele for sure.
But not just the money thing. It was kind of a different culture as well, because I've been playing games since the original Nintendo, right? And the kind of games that I grew up playing and then I like, those are not the same games that the people that were coming to Greenwood were into. If you want to pop up those two images.
Two of the best-selling games in the history of Greenwood GameStop.
So we have Scarface on PS2. And then we have
any version
Madden,
of Madden.
Any version of Madden. The only Madden I ever owned was, like, I think it might have been either the original one or the second one to ever come out on Super Nintendo.
Oh shit.
And it was a game that my dad had bought for us. It wasn't necessarily something that me and my brother asked for. So I'm not into Madden whatsoever. That's not my kind of game. And also, I'm not into Scarface whatsoever. As I don't hate the movie, but he's not like this role model to me like he seems to be to some people.
Yeah. I think part of the reason too that Scarface was so big was at the time everyone was kind of capitalizing on the crime-centric GTA games.
Oh, yes.
And so we always had a running joke in the store that people were picking up Grand Theft Auto, something else. Like, what was one of the bits? Like, I can't even remember.
It's hard to recall specifically.
Like Grand Theft Auto Scarface.
Yeah.
Or Grand Theft Auto.
That's basically what the Scarface game is. It's a Grand Theft Auto game.
So basically we were just making fun of any sandbox game that came out in that time frame because everyone was just trying to capitalize on the success of San Andreas. And oh god damn did San Andreas sell, especially at that GameStop. And it was funny because I think I might have talked about it before, but did you have any particular favorite opportunities to deny children from buying mature-rated games? Any that stand out for you?
No, not that I can remember. I feel like I was working there, though, at the time for GTA 4. I was still there. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but was it 4 or 5? Shit, I can't remember.
4 had come out.
Whichever the one that had the expansion, the Ballad of Gay Tony.
Yeah, it's 4. Yeah.
Definitely the parents would have some questions about the Ballad of Gay Tony.
Yeah. I remember, because I think it shows full-on, like, wiener in it, right?
I don't remember. I actually never played it, so.
I remember, I don't remember names or anything, but I remember a customer asking us about it, and I remember I think there were times, like, maybe it was the same for you, where you felt like this kid's probably too young to play this game. And so you didn't, and you already knew how the parent was going to receive the information. So like, especially at Greenwood. But if you were to say, this game has a lot of violence in it, and then they would be like, oh, whatever, he plays Call of Duty, or he plays, whatever shooter, Halo, he plays Halo all the time. And then you would say, yeah, but this is like real bad humor. Like, you can kill civilians and do this and do that. And so then how they would react. You knew just by talking to them for brief periods that they weren't going to give a shit. But if you told them, it shows full-on dude Wang. And then they immediately, well, what are you trying to buy this game for? Why are you trying to buy this game? You know, like, why do you want a game that shows full man wiener, you know? And so then, you know, the kid would just look at us like, yo, man.
I love that. Now that we're talking about it, I do kind of have some vague memories. But I think what it mostly was is that because the parents would basically wait in the car, they would send their kid in. And then they would be mad that they have to now get out of the car and say, yes, he can buy this game.
Yeah. Parents get so mad that they have to get out of the car. They did, in later years, they would amend that. And they would tell us that we could go outside to the parents in the car. And I thought that was just...
That's fucking dumb.
Just to keep the customers happy. The truth is, it takes nothing away from us if we have double coverage. But on principle, I feel like as a parent, you know what I mean? As a parent, I will always be with my daughter to buy whatever she's going to buy inside of anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just feel like it's weird sending your kids in without... But that was Greenwood. Greenwood didn't play by the rules.
GameStop is such a fucking terrible company to work for.
Oh, yeah.
If you're wanting a career in GameStop, which one is the camera? Right here?
Yeah,
right here?
You're the bottom one, yeah.
Do not consider a career in GameStop. If you just want to work there, you know, to get a discount,
college,
to get a discount on your games or whatever, that's fine. But do not even try to get a career in GameStop. If you need steady paychecks, don't work at GameStop.
Steady paychecks, no. If you think that it's like a put in time and move up the ladder type situation, and all the time that we were there, every single DM was an outside hire. Almost every single DM that I can think of was an outside hire. So if you made it to store manager, you'd be making, I think it's in the like $20 range an hour. But for what you're doing, your peers in other categories, it's better off to go be a middle manager at a big box store. You'd be making more than that.
Yeah.
And hell, you can go get hired at a Walmart and work your way up to the electronics department. Did they ever actually give? Because I know everyone always talks about, like, oh, if you don't perform and you don't do good numbers, they'll fire you, is what everyone always said. Mm-hmm. But there was never an instance that I ever saw.
Well, they basically cut your hours until like fucking maybe like 4 hours a week, if that. Yeah. And then, are you really gonna keep fucking working at a place that's only giving you 4 hours a week? You know, if you have no choice but to quit.
If you're getting 15% off of new games, or I did like that they would let you tack your employee discount with the used discount.
Yeah. So
like you could get 25% off of used stuff. That was pretty sweet.
But no, for sure. I mean, I still have, you know, fond memories working with you and Andrew and Carl and everyone. I mean, it was fun for the most part to go to work and hang out with you guys, even though, you know, we were there to work. Even
though we hung out here all the time when we weren't working.
I mean, you're working with video games. You get to talk to people about video games.
Yeah.
You know, this was way before they started carrying like other shit, like the toys and
cell phones and stuff.
And cell phones, that was after me as well.
I was saying the other day that, was it to you? We were talking about it, and I was saying how I miss the convincing parents, or not even parents, just convincing a customer to buy a game that I wanted to do better. Because, like, I always think of Shadows of the Damned. That game was phenomenal. And that and Darksiders, I would push that so hard. Anybody who bought God of War or Legend of Zelda, I was always like, hey, if you like this game, then you should try and play this game, dude. Dude, it's awesome. It's like a combination of whatever. And I would go down the list, and I would basically, every time a game came out Red Dead Redemption. When Red Dead came out, me and Andrew got me to play it, and then I was blown away, loved it, and so every customer that came in, have you heard of Red Dead Redemption? That game was so hard to get a hold of when it first came out, because we were constantly sold out. That goes into that whole pre-order shit. Was people didn't want to pre-order because GameStop would hassle them at the counter. They don't want to pre-order games, guy.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
This kind of goes back to what I was saying about how the customers that we interacted with had different tastes than me. So yeah, there were definitely those times that I had this game that I really liked, and I would want people coming in to also like the game. But you know, I just wasn't good at convincing, persuading, whatever these people to like. To get, King of Fighters whatever instead of Madden 2007. They're there for fucking Madden 2007. Fighting games is a niche type of game to begin with, so they're not going to give a fuck.
I think around August of every year, because that's like Madden month, right? August of every year, what was so funny was trying to convince people to buy Madden 06 instead of 07. And they would walk up and be like, "Can I get a copy of Madden 07?" I didn't have it pre-ordered, And so we'd be like, "Oh, dude, none of the Maddens are that different. Why don't you just buy a copy of 06?" Yeah. We got some people, "Oh, I heard about this game." And so like, "Oh, you just barely heard about this game? You don't want 07. That doesn't make any sense. Why don't you start with 06? If you like it, upgrade." We had a lady and a man steal from us, and the lady was at the counter, and she was like rubbing my hands, and like literally like, because I had my hand on the counter. You remember how I grew like my pinky nails long? Mm-hmm. And so, not to snort coke, but just cause I don't know, I just
to make people think you snort
coke. I wanted the appearance without the appearance. All right, but it was a good booger picker, but that lady was like, "Oh, you have such beautiful nails and beautiful hands," and I was just weirded out. But at the same time, I'm gonna soak up a compliment, and so I was like, "Thank you, oh, thank you so much." And she was like, just kind of rubbing my fingers and my hands, and Aldo was standing next to me, and the whole time, her husband or boyfriend is like hidden behind the little kiosk that we had set up, and he was cutting open all the Wii remotes, and he was stealing all the Wiimotes.
I remember people would steal probably from Walmart.
Oh god,
like SD cards, memory cards,
and then walk over.
Walk to GameStop and trade that shit in.
You can see. You always knew when shit was stolen because the actual packaging had like a razor blade cut on it.
Yeah.
Dude, we used to crack up so hard at that shit.
Yeah, that's right, because I remember they would bring them to us still in the packaging, and then eventually GameStop made a rule that said, okay, no, they can't be in packages.
Yeah, that's actually still in effect.
Oh, problem solved, GameStop.
Yeah. Well, they want plausible deniability.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't want any security devices attached. Oh, you know what I just realized? We have the EB Games logo up here, and... Yes. I guess when Kevin started working at the same store as me, we were one of the EB Games stores. So like when I first got hired, I worked under EB Games, which stood for Electronics Boutique. I guess they shortened it to EB Games. But when I was working there, GameStop had Barnes & Noble purchased GameStop.
Yeah.
And so when Kevin was hired, he was hired under the GameStop name, but we still had the EB Games sign up for like 4 years after that.
Not 4 years, because it was changed before I left.
Okay.
But for probably like a year and a half, I think, before they finally changed it to GameStop.
It would have been really cool to get it and have it up on the wall. Had I got it, I would have. And when I found out all they did was just break it up and throw it in the trash, I was super pissed.
Another kind of funny thing I remember trying to get this kid to buy a PS3 instead of a 360. And really comparing the two, obviously we know what you're going to say. But I mean, but even you would admit, PS3 kind of had a rocky launch. Yeah. But once there was a good amount of games to choose from on PS3, there was literally no reason why you would want a 360 over a PS3.
Well, I mean, for Gears and Halo.
besides like, you know,
the big
few exclusives, but like, you know, online play on PS3 was free.
Yeah, and you really
it could play Blu-rays.
People would always say like, "Oh, you get what you pay for." Yeah, but it's not that bad. Okay, sure, I'll have some laggy matches, but I'm not competing in world championship tournaments. I'll take a few rounds of lag.
Yeah, I just remember this kid he was not gonna fucking budge. He wanted that 360, and I was like, okay, whatever.
I'm pretty sure I bring this up with anytime I ever bring up anything Xbox. But we worked there during the Red Ring of Death.
Yeah.
And how many times did you see people not even cash in a warranty, just straight up buy another console?
Yeah, that's why whenever you talk about sales numbers, if you're talking about 360, you really need a fucking asterisk next to that, because how many more consoles did they sell because of the Red Ring of Death?
Like, honest to God, I don't understand it. Like, I love PlayStation, but when my PS3 died, I went like 2 or 3 months without one because I was like, nah, this ain't right, and I'm gonna wait for a slim version, and then I just couldn't take it anymore. But I couldn't believe how many people actually purchased and repurchased and sometimes repurchased Xboxes and never bought warranties.
Yeah.
All they had to do was buy the damn GameStop warranty, and we would have swapped it on the spot. Nobody bought it, and then they came back, oh, my system broke. Well, you're going to have to contact Microsoft. Well, what if I don't want to wait that long? Then you have to buy a new one.
I do remember sending my 360 in to be repaired at one point for the Red Ring. And I feel like once Microsoft did fix it, I don't think it malfunctioned after that, but...
Probably did the proper reflow. You should. What was the story about the Barbie game?
What Barbie game?
The Guitar was it Guitar Hero that kid was playing? The one where you made the smart ass comment.
I totally forgot about that.
You should tell that story because that's like the best story.
Yeah, some little kid was playing like Guitar Hero or something. And, you know, he wasn't doing very good, so I just kind of made a jokey comment. I was like, maybe you should stick to, you know, Barbie Horse Adventure or some bullshit like that. And his mom ended up getting, like, super fucking butthurt. Fucking dumb people, dude. That also reminds me of a time...
I love that, like, you think they're dumb and you're the asshole that's, you know...
It was a fucking joke, and he was doing bad at Guitar Hero.
How old was he?
Less than 10 for sure.
That makes it even worse. I think for this one, I'm kind of 50-50 with the parent.
There's also another story that Art likes to tell. There was this time that I was SGA by that point, and obviously Art was working there as well. It was me and him, and some lady was looking for like an Ethernet cable. And we had looked around and didn't see one, and we looked in the computer, it wasn't in there. And
she went and found it on the wall.
She went and found one on the wall, yeah. And then I didn't yell at Art, but I did like exclaim something. When Art finally comes back, he'll have to tell the story.
One thing about Herman though I did like when we first started was he would let us keep stacks of stuff in the back to buy.
Yeah.
And so there was that little shelf right behind the door in the back. And it was just this little shelf that when I first got there, you know, it was maybe like 1 or 2 games. But whenever I left there, I probably had about like 10, 15 games on that goddamn shelf.
Yeah.
I think it was you that told me like, oh yeah, I had to file all your stuff away. It was either you or Joseph.
I don't remember that.
Like, I had to file all your stuff in the back away. Did you want to pick any of it up?
Yeah, I don't remember that, so it must have been Joseph. So this is, I'm going to guess that probably most people who do end up watching this kind of know about the GameStop meme stock, right? I think probably most people who are going to see this already know kind of what the situation is with that.
Probably.
And I think one of the profiles I read about one of those guys one time, one of the people that does invest in GameStop, is that...
Like on the Wall Street bets, like on the actual Reddit thing?
It's like
Forgot I had that charged.
Like, these people, they say they have, like, fond memories of getting their games at GameStop, and that's the reason why
they want to keep it alive.
They want to keep it alive or whatever. And definitely some people have made some money off of it, but I think
most people have not.
I think GameStop is just gonna fucking let them down in the end, because digital, it really is, and now streaming, with Game Pass or whatever, is just kind of slowly strangling, physical copies, brick and mortar stores.
It's hard out here. And
plus, with GameStop now getting into NFTs, which I think is so fucking stupid. It's like GameStop can't help themselves.
Remember that little robot mascot that they had? Was it a little robot?
I don't remember that.
I feel like they had like a little caricature on all of those game cases. I don't remember what it was, but they should do an NFT of those. Would be funny. I think we talked about that as a joke the other day.
Well, I do know that they got in trouble, GameStop did, a couple of weeks ago, because someone was selling an NFT of kind of this iconic picture of this guy jumping out of one of the fucking top floors of the World Trade Center on September 11th.
That was GameStop?
Yes, they were selling this on the GameStop NFT store. I don't think it's GameStop that makes these images. Like a marketplace, I think is what it is.
Oh.
But someone was selling kind of like a, like a stylistic, kind of art thing about this iconic picture of this guy falling out of the fucking World Trade Center.
God damn it.
So it's like they're not even monitoring what the fuck people are putting in there.
Is nothing sacred?
They just make such questionable decisions. And I really think their time in this world is fucking limited.
I guess that's it for this episode. I don't think I've had like a closer, like an outro for the GameStop bits, because I usually cut so much out. But if y'all like this format, if y'all like the whole GameStop stuff, I know a lot of people who work there. If there's insight into specific areas that you'd like to hear, let us know. We can ask questions that y'all want to ask.
If you got any questions for us, put them in the comments. We'll reply.
And there's a lot of stuff that we're not saying on purpose because we don't know if anyone wants to hear it. So the question is, do you want to hear the stuff that we don't want to talk about? It sounds so fucking stupid. God damn it. We gotta come up with an outro. So